Hey everybody, Jacob here with Ground Zero USA, and welcome to the eighth, eighth, eighth episode of the Zero Hour Podcast, brought to you by Ground Zero. It's honestly nice to be not out in the field, but ironically, we're talking about being out in the field. Um, April was a busy time for us, but what we did this month when we traveled is we looked at really kind of the industry and trade shows from an outside perspective. What is it that others are doing in either other segments of the industry or maybe things we haven't looked at, other countries, so on and so forth. So in this episode, Nick's going to be joining me because he's somebody that I've been bouncing ideas off, especially with regard to this for a long time. And he got a chance to experience both of these shows from the side of, working at participating, so on and so forth. So we are going to cover two shows, which are one of them is dear to my heart. One of them is dear to Nick's heart. Well, I think both of them are dear to Nick's heart now. The Emma Euro finals that took place in Salzburg, Austria, and AXPONA, which ironically is a home audio show that took place in Chicago. And over the past, 30 days, this is what we've really been focusing on. So when we come back, Nick will join us and we will cover some fun things. We'll see you in a bit. All right, Nick, I want to dive right into this because this is my second time at the Emma Euro finals. And I know that over the years, since I got to go and conversations that we've had over the years, I've talked about how cool this show is and how it's not like anything we do here. What?
That's
Okay,
pretty
so
about
right. Your first impressions. Give me 2 minutes of you walk through that door. What hits you in the face? Because I think that's the biggest part of this is that like, oh crap moment. So what was your moment?
walking in the door and taking a look around just at the floor where all of the vendor booths were set up reminds me of CES 20 years ago, 25 years ago. It was that elaborate, it was that big. There were that many manufacturers slash distributors on the showroom floor. And as I call it, the showroom floor, because that's what it is. It's a showroom. It's just huge. The size of the booths, the quality of the installs, the how great the car sounded. It all reminded me of the heyday of car audio 25 years ago, 30 years ago.
And
It was just that kind of a scene.
and the cool thing for me, I'm a car guy, right?
Yeah,
I
me too.
think different. I think different than just audio people. My brain goes one way. This isn't just a car audio show. I mean, I know we keep
Oh,
calling it Euro Finals, and I know we keep calling it, but it's not. It's Car Media World. It's Customized Salzburg. It's the
yeah.
entire convention center is a big square set up with a a parking lot in the middle that they set up for drifting. Car shows all around. I mean, this year there was a full on tattoo convention going on.
Yeah,
This is totally different than anything we do at combined finals or
yeah,
whatever. How from a car culture, which again you come from,
yeah.
not just audio, like is this like anything you've been to, the
No,
whole thing,
no,
in the US?
no. This is more of a lifestyle event than just car audio or a car show. It was combining a little bit of everything of that kind of culture that they were obviously target marketing it to.
Hmm.
Pretty impressive in that all of these people of different backgrounds all came together, um, and everybody respected everybody, and quite frankly, they were all very, very curious about, car audio versus the drifters versus the tattoo folks. They were all amazed by everything that we were doing. And I think we were amazed by everything they were doing as far as like, the car audio folks, which is interesting in that you don't see that here.
No.
You'll see a tattoo convention, you'll see a drifting event like at SEMA, but you don't see all of this brought together in one place. And I thought that was fascinating.
And
Much less having how many nations were represented? 70, if I
yeah,
remember correctly.
something like that. I mean, entire European continent plus
Yeah.
anybody who could get there.
Yeah. I mean, there were people from all over Asia there, which
Exactly.
I
So,
was I was blown away.
well, and just sitting at dinner with Ground Zero. I mean, there were what 100 and what they say 130 people representing 64 countries
Yeah.
just from Ground Zero alone. I think that's the number. But I mean, just packing the castle for dinner, everybody getting along, cracking jokes, making fun of Diogo the bishop. Um, but just again, it's an entire thing that I it's very different than what we experience here. Even like when you go back to the showroom, the show floor, every vendor just has a massive booth. They're out with
Yeah.
cars. They're not just trying to hawk product. It didn't seem like it
Mm-mm.
was this is what we do, or and don't get me wrong, this is what's new, this is what's exciting. Take a listen to the car.
Yeah.
But we got to see everybody hanging out, having fun. It didn't matter what shirt you were wearing, what booth you
Mm-mm.
were in. You just got along. The after parties at the hotel. I mean, everybody was at the hotel.
Yeah.
Hanging
Literally
out.
everybody was at the hotel. Gee.
Right, exactly. So, is this something? I'll ask you this because I mean, Chris was there.
Yeah.
Chris Pate joined us on this show. I walked around the show floor with him, and I can't remember how many times he said, "Just this is rad. This
Hmm.
is cool. We could never pull this off." And Chris runs one of the most badass competitions in the
Yeah.
continental US.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
even for him to say, this isn't possible
Mm-mm.
in the
I
US.
think he's right. I don't think we can do it.
It why can't we do it?
Um, you know, how do I want to put this? We all don't get along with each other. I hate to say it, but and I'm going to say something, and I'm sorry, but it's the God's honest truth. Politics gets in the way. It just
Valid.
does. Today, politics gets in the way. 30 years ago is a different story. Politics didn't get in the way. We were not as divided as a nation as we are today. And getting everybody to come together, manufacturer, distributor, end user, dealer, and put on something like this, it would take time. I think we could possibly put it back together the way it used to be, but it would take a lot of time, and the industry would have to come together and work together like they do in Europe. And they do, and I'm just going to tell you, everybody understand. Jacob is absolutely right. We're sitting at the Ground Zero booth, and right next to us is, I don't mind telling you, the Moscone Gladen booth was right there. Um, there was another amp manufacturer, speaker manufacturer, just right next to them. Right by this was Morel, and everybody in that neck of the around us. We were all talking with each other, laughing with each other, enjoying the afternoon or the morning with each other. It didn't matter about whose brand was who. It was not, that was not what this was about. This was a celebration of the culture.
Yeah.
And that culture is in Europe and in Asia, and they are celebrating it. And it's a testament to them working for the last what 10 years, 15 years at making this work worldwide, quote unquote. Yeah, they did. They worked at it. They have, I mean, Emma has worked at this. It's real obvious what they've been doing. And they haven't worked here. They haven't worked on it here. And if they wanted to, could it work? Yeah. But they got to get more than just 4 or 5 of us to come together to make this thing happen. it would take everybody
Mhm.
in the United States and Canada and Mexico to pull this thing off. All
And
of us in the industry.
and here's the thing, right? And this is the way I see it. And you and I have had conversations about competition governing bodies
Hmm.
for years.
Yeah.
I don't compete. I don't
Hmm.
inherently believe in the fact that we have, what seems like 97 car audio competition governing bodies in the US.
Yeah.
Um, don't get me wrong, I know that some of them serve specific purposes, but when you talk, politics is dividing, it's not just, I don't think politics is the default definition of politics, right? I
No, no,
also
no.
think like the politics behind governing bodies and and competitors and
Exactly.
manufacturers and these kind of things. So, you know, we all say, keep politics out of car audio. And I think we do a pretty well, some of us do a pretty good job of that for the traditional version of that.
Yes.
But again, it's that I want it my way. I don't like the way you're doing it. And I think that's one of the things that I liked about the Euro finals, right? Is it's the IMA Euro finals. There
Yes.
were, I don't know how many competition cars there, well over 200, I'd say,
Yeah.
at
There
least from
it had to
from
be.
how it felt,
Hmm.
all coming together to support one competition. And then all the manufacturers came together to do
Yeah.
their portion of the show at this event that was hosted by a car culture. We're
Yes.
tagging, IMA Euro finals and the distributor, the manufacturer show are tagging onto something that exists from a car culture perspective.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I, I think you're right. Could we do it? Sure.
It can be done.
Is it going to be easy? No.
No.
Is it something I would love to see though? Absolutely.
No. I.
Um, so talk to me. You're the ears of this conversation. I
Hmm.
know if a car sounds good. I know if a car sounds good to me and if I enjoy it.
Yeah.
You demoed several phenomenal cars
Yes.
that tell me about some of your demo experiences because I want to ask you a question that I think I might know the answer to. So talk to
Okay.
me about your demo experiences in some of the cars that you heard.
There were 6 vehicles that stood out um, substantially, and I'm going to preface this by saying that most of the cars that I listened to, and I know that Chris listened to, were absolutely amazing. And I will tell you that for those of you who think we are head and shoulders above Europe and Asia, I have news for you. No, we are not. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you that there are systems that we listen to, and I will point 3 out that I listen to, that literally I had to wrap my head around it because it didn't sound anything like car audio to me. It was high-end home audio come to a car. It was ridiculous what these vehicles were able to reproduce. And I have to remind everybody, there are things you cannot do in Europe that we can do here. They cannot cut metal except in the trunk. So when I tell you that they're pulling this off by using mid-bass drivers in the kick panel or using mid-bass drivers in the doors, and the doors are built like a home audio enclosure, they are. When I tell you there are mid-ranges located in enclosures on top of the dash in which the enclosure runs down into the dash and is vented and tuned to a certain frequency, they are. Um, yeah, it's just they were stupid amazing. There was a Mercedes GT that I
Mhm.
listened to, and it was my favorite car at the show. That I sat there and I've asked the gentleman to play me something I know extremely well. It's a piece of classical music that I know extremely well. And I am listening to a 42-inch concert drum that is literally 6 or 7 feet away from where I'm sitting on the out beyond the hood of the car. I could hear the strike of the mallet, the report of the mallet, and the release of the mallet on that drum. Now, that is extremely difficult to pull off in home audio, much less a car. I mean, depth, width, height, three-dimensionality, timbre, decay. I can go on. These cars were the epitome of high-end audio, of holy smoke. And then I had him play some Led Zeppelin. And I was, again, yeah, we're going one end of the spectrum to the other, because I'm thinking, okay, if you can play this, can you play Misty Mountain Hop? And he did. And I'm just sitting there going, I hear stuff in this that I don't hear unless I'm playing a really high end home audio system. Jimmy Page's, the way he plays the guitar, for instance, I can hear the pickups. I knew what kind of strings that was on the guitar. I mean, it's amazing.
Right.
It was literally amazing. And this was my favorite car there. Peter Steinbacher's Mercedes Benz, his S Class. Geez Louise.
Right.
Phenomenal sounding vehicle, plays 11 freaking hertz. I'm not kidding. When I tell you he's demonstrating 11 hertz in the car, I'm just sitting there going, this is stupid. This is ridiculous. The two-way we heard in the Ground Zero booth, that one still to me stands out. It was the least expensive system there. I guarantee you it was. So when I tell you that it's different, it is. They take things very seriously. They are very, I mean, and I didn't hear a car that I would be like going, no. There was not a car there that was not worthy of being there and was not like, yeah, this is really good. And I'm thinking, yeah, this judging staff, I feel sorry for them because they're going to have to nitpick.
Yeah.
And it's not as if they didn't all deserve to be there, because I promise you they did.
And
And
that's
that's a testament to how good things are over there.
well, and that's and to me that's one of the things, and you had taken the thing away from me that I wanted to ask you, but you also in full on introduced what we're going to talk about when we come back. But the thing you took away was, could these cars stand against the gold standard that we have here in the US when we think, no other country can touch us? You said it. Like, there is not a car there that scored where it should have, that would not compete against something here that can get away, that has to get away and has to pull off ported enclosures in the doors or sealed
Oh yeah,
enclosures in the doors, because they can't cut into crumple zones.
yeah.
Um, so, and then that was impressive to me, because you and I have had that conversation over years where the
Hmm.
US does things the right way, and then all of a sudden you're coming back from Europe going, they do too. And I'm
Yeah.
eating my own words.
I, they do what's necessary to win.
To accomplish the goal, and the goal is what, Nick?
Win. To
Well,
make music, to be this as close to high end home audio / live music as possible. That's what they're at.
and high end home audio is what we will talk about when we come back.
Yep.
So we'll see you in a minute. Okay. So before the break, we talked about an extremely high end European competition event that took place at a, an absolutely incredible, fun lifestyle car event.
Yeah.
So again, car show, drifting, food, leather work, diecast, tattoo, like it was all there, right? If it's
It's all
car
there.
or it's car related, it was there. Now, fast forward to, correct me if I'm wrong. You land home from Europe, you get what, 3 days rest, and you have to drive to Chicago.
Yep.
What was in Chicago? Why did we go as a company to Chicago?
Because I'm a masochist.
Well,
I'll never do it again. I'll tell you that. Well, the premier high end 2 channel home audio show of North America happened to be that weekend, the weekend after we got back from Salzburg. And we had made the decision that we were going to go and be a part of an event that the folks at IASCA were asked to put on by the folks that put AXPONA on, to introduce high-end home audio clientele to high-end car audio. And this was something that you and I've talked about, that this is where we need to go. You're talking about, over 13,000 people were pre-registered for this show.
Mhm.
And it's like I've told you, the least expensive home system that I saw at that show, and I'm not saying it was but it's the least expensive I could find, was about $140,000 retail. So this is the kind of clientele that, quite frankly and honestly, we in the United States do not reach, because they do not know we exist.
Right.
It's the reason we were there. They need to be exposed to what we can do, because quite frankly and honestly, what I heard in Europe and what some of us here in the United States can do, these folks would want this in their cars. And so if it was an opportunity for all of us who were there to show the wares and basically raise the flag and say, hey, I can get you 60, 65% of what you got in your home system in this car. You need to come hear this.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
Well, and that's one of the, we had gone from a car show where you said we were representing high-end home 2 channel, as close as we could get in cars,
Yep.
to now a high-end home 2 channel show where we were, I don't want to say the underdog, right? But
No.
we were the group of people that maybe didn't fit, so to
Hmm.
speak. But
Yep.
you took your Infinity
Mhm.
and Jim Rogers took his Ram, and I think
Yep.
we've talked about his Ram in past episodes. So
Mhm.
I mean, top tier cars
Yes.
of, I see why you did this. This is fun. This is exciting. This is, how did you do this? Not, again, we're not chasing a scorecard here. Not
No.
in this,
No. No. No.
not the reason we went. I mean, Jim
No.
competed, but
Yeah, it did well, but
we went to make waves, right? We went to get people, like you said, to go, oh, I can get 60, 70% of my home in this car because we're doing XYZ. You guys demoed nonstop.
yeah,
The three
the
three days
minute,
you
yeah, the minute the doors open at noon on Friday until 4 o'clock Sunday, it was nonstop. We demoed over 400 different people in cars, and that's basically, let me add, well, six, 6 and 6. We had 18 hours to demonstrate 400 people to 400 people.
well, you
Huh.
stopped counting. You stopped counting around there, right?
I mean, I got to the point where I'm just like, okay, fine. I don't care now. We're
Right.
just in and out, in and out, in and out. Can you give me 5 minutes? I need to go get something to drink. I need to run to the restroom. I'll be right back. That was constant.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Now,
And I had people get in and out of the car, and they literally just stared at me and go, how are you doing this?
so with all those demos, I mean, we're not talking car audio competitors demoing cars or car audio manufacturers demoing cars. This was an entirely different group of people. So who who were some of these people? Like, what? Why are they in music? Who were they?
We had studio engineers, we had artists, we had professional musicians, and just, plain Jane audiophiles. That's who were there. We had manufacturers. I demoed the car to 3 or 4 people who build preamplifiers and amplifiers on the home side. I had 2 studio engineers that literally just could not get over how great the car sounded. Um, I don't mind telling the story. I had a gentleman get in the car. I asked him what genre of music he wanted to listen to, and he asked me to play this specific song. I said, okay. So I fired this song up, and it happened to be a Bob Dylan that I've never heard before. And I'm playing this, and we play the whole song. And he looks at me and he goes, I wouldn't touch this. I said, well, I appreciate it. Thank you. He goes, yeah. He said, this sounds better than Dead Gum Recording Studio. He said, this is mine. I went, what? you You were okay, cool. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, that was enlightening. Thank you very much. Um, and just numerous audiophiles who were just interested. I had one of my great memories of this. I had a gentleman get in, and he wants me to play some Mark Knopfler, which I did. And I listened. He listened to a couple of songs, and he said, "My wife has to hear this." I said, "Okay." So his wife gets in, and it turns out she's the pain in the ass audiophile, not him. She goes, "I need to listen to Mr. Bill Evans." I'm like, "Yes, ma'am, I've got it. I know Bill Evans is a great pianist in the jazz world." So I'm playing Bill Evans' Witchcraft, and she is sitting there, and I am literally looking at her play piano with him. Then I'm like, "Okay, this is interesting." And we played the whole thing, and she goes, "That is amazing. Thank you so very much. I thoroughly enjoyed this." She goes, "This sounds better than half the rooms we've been in so far today." I went, "Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I truly appreciate that." And yeah, and that was kind of the uh the feedback we got. More than one person said, "I don't believe this is possible. How did you do this? How much is this?" And this is where I think we as an industry have got to realize that when I told them, somebody asked me, "How much is this?" And I would say, "Well, I've got about $12,500 in equipment in the car." They didn't blink an eye. They were like, "Oh, well, I thought it'd be way more than that. That's not a whole lot of money. How much time does it do something like this?" I said, "It takes about a week, 10 days to do it right." And they're like, "Oh, well, that's reasonable." I said, "You would have to add some more money in for the install." And they goes, "Oh, sure, we understand." Yeah. If we did that to the standard car audio folks, they would have a stroke and wanted to die. And, you know,
it's
but this, you know,
and it's funny because this is your people.
yeah,
The I don't, I'm not going to narrow it down to pains in the asses, but
mm,
the
they are.
audiophile, the critical listener, and don't get me wrong, I mean, critical listeners can have fun listening to music. Nothing has to be perfect all the time.
No,
But to be able to get some of these recording artists or recording engineers to go, "Oh, I'm not sure how you did this, but I am thoroughly impressed," I think means more than a lot of other comments that you could have gotten, which is the whole reason I think why we went, right?
yeah,
Was
it
to get
is.
people to go, "Oh, wait, I can have this? This is
Yeah.
this is my passion. This is my life. This is my hobby, and I can put this in a car and it's not what they thought it was going to be." I'm curious how many of those people got into, let's say, Jim's truck
They
and
said the same thing. They
thought,
said the
well,
same thing in Jim's truck.
and
Um,
and you get into the truck and you don't think you're going to experience what they experienced.
no,
It's, "Oh, well, this is a truck. It's going to be, it's going to hammer or it's going to be good, but maybe it's just built to be loud." And then they get out saying the same things they said about your car.
yeah, and that was something that we recognized. This is not a truck crowd.
Right.
No, this is not. But they got in that truck and they were not expecting what they heard. I have a luxury SUV. Jim's truck is not. It's a damn nice truck. Don't get me wrong with everything he's done to it. It's amazing. But that's not what they were expecting. And they were literally blown away.
Right.
And this group of people, as best I can, and this is just figures I have found, last year they spent $4.4 billion on high-end two-channel audio in the United States. There were only about 500,000 transactions that took place. That's 8,000. It's over $8,000 a transaction. Yeah, you do the math, folks. We're missing the boat. These are the people we need to get involved in our hobby slash industry. They're the ones who are willing to spend money on music. I mean, let's face it, they do. And it's the reason we were there. And it's the very reason we'll go back next year, because we have to bring these people into the fold.
Well, and even you had said, of the other manufacturers that were there on the car side, they will be back. and
Oh,
they will
yes,
be stepping up their game and they will be leveling up because of this experience.
absolutely.
So it again, it goes back. It's cool to see our industry relate to other industries
Hmm.
and realize that we need to step it up. We need to do better. And we need to represent what it is that we can do. And that's not to say that like SPL can't do its thing and Pro
No,
can't do its thing and
nope.
Power Sports Audio can't do its thing, but car audio is an interesting in an interesting predicament right now.
Yes, they are. Yes, yes, it is.
And I know this is something that you've talked about on a regular basis, which supports us being at this show, but our clientele has changed or has
Yes.
matured or has
Change.
some of the people that you've demoed to probably had badass systems in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, but
Some of them did. Some of them they remember the days of old Iasca because
Mhm.
they competed, but they did not realize where we have gone with and you know as well as I do. It's called digital signal processing.
Right.
With what we can do now, with the level of fidelity that we have available to us, we can pull this off. Couldn't do this 10 years ago.
No.
We can now. And
Well, and
that's been the big bugaboo with this side of the world. On the home side is they're still thinking we're the knuckle draggers, listen to SPL and I won't tell you the rest of it.
and again, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
I still like to get froggy when
sure.
it's that time, when that's what I need in my life. But
Yeah.
to be able to appeal to this clientele with a level of product and the degree of product and make them, like I said, take a step back and go, I didn't know this was possible.
That's it.
Or heaven forbid you actually get the guy that's like, man, this might actually be better than the stuff I've got in my home and it's a third the price.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
it's
I heard that a couple of times.
and how many speakers can you see in your truck?
None.
How many amps can you see?
None.
How many processors? And where can you see the processor?
Nope.
Can you see the sub?
Yep.
So that's it.
Closer. But that's it.
So not an over. I'm not diminishing. It's not an over the top build. It's
No,
not
it
a
is
crazy
not.
custom fabricated build.
No.
It's the right product and the right application tuned correctly. That recipe conversation that we keep having, it's a great recipe. It's you know what you're doing. A little bit of salt and pepper at the end, and
That's it.
these people got out of your car and went, that was good.
That is exactly correct. And it's the reason that I built it this way. Because if you see the speakers on top of the dash and we do all of this work, yeah, you kind of expect it to be something different and sound pretty doggone good. But when you can't find a speaker and everything is factory locations and you can get this kind of sound out of it, that's a different story. That appeals to a hell of a lot of people in this world because quite frankly, they don't want to advertise what's in the car.
Well, and the other thing too,
Yeah.
in the home world, we know for a fact that this is the type of person who will build a room around equipment,
Yes.
who will tune a room around equipment. They're not getting into the digital signal path of the record player and manipulating crossover points and doing
No.
everything that we do in a car saying this is what's required. They want correct. And if we can do in a car correct the way that they understand it, it also helps us accomplish our goal in their eyes,
It
right?
most certainly does.
Not about beating something into submission. It's not about
No,
chasing points on a score sheet. It's about what do we sell, Nick? What's the thing we always talk about? What are we selling?
we're selling music.
We're selling a memory. We're selling emotion. We're
That's
selling.
it. You're selling them the musical experience that they are expecting to have in their home.
Yep.
And when we can get close to it in the car, I mean, how many times did I hear, I would really like to have this in my vehicle? I heard it a lot. Jim heard it a lot. The people who are demonstrating their cars an awful lot. Larry Chisner. Larry Chisner's BMW is phenomenal. And he heard that more times than I care to think about.
Right.
that these people appreciate the this level of fidelity because it's their hobby. They have a tremendous passion for it. I mean, let's face it, if you're a design engineer for an ant manufacturer on the home side, or you're a studio engineer and you're there and you're listening to the systems and you're like, oh my God, listen to this in a car. You've got to be kidding me. I think we did our job, but we got to keep plugging away. We got to keep going. We got to get the word out.
Right.
And that's where we need the industry as a whole.
Those
And
who those who can do, those who want to participate should, those
yes,
who believe that this industry is thriving and is surviving, not just surviving but thriving, need to understand that it's more than just the people that walk in the door. It's the people that want an emotional response to a
yeah,
track that they're listening to.
absolutely. You know, that's where we have to get the dealer network to go to them because they don't know they exist.
Right.
And I asked every single solitary person that got in the car if they had a local shop or somebody they could turn to where they could have something like this done, and they said we have no idea. I don't know. I wouldn't even know where to go look.
And that right there, I promise you, is a conversation for another day
Yep.
because that is an entirely different soapbox that I feel you need to get on just from an industry perspective. Again, ignoring this,
Yep.
what are some things? So we'll save that for another conversation. Nick, thank you for joining me on this. You've been,
Sure.
I mean, on the last several episodes, it's been fun to have you on location
Yeah.
and being able to express your impressions of what's going on, especially these last two shows. I didn't get to go to AXPONA, so I appreciate you being there and representing what it is that you do. And Emma, man, what a blast! What a blast that was. That being said,
Hey,
we will be right back. Well, I will be right back. I always love when Nick's on because Nick's been around the industry long enough to see it have gone through different stages. And I love traveling with Nick, and I've always, loved running into him at a show even before we worked together, just to be able to get his perspective of how things are going. And the last two shows that we attended as Ground Zero USA, even though one of them wasn't in the US, really allowed me to see and get some feedback that the industry itself isn't dying like some of us think it is. It's adapting, it's changing. Um its relationships are shifting. So Emma US was tagged on, and a distributor show was tagged on, and a car show, and food and tattoos and all things car were part of a show. It was a lifestyle event. Um, Nick goes to Chicago for AXPONA. It's a lifestyle event. I mean, High End Home 2 channel is a lifestyle to those that love it, that to those that participate in it. And that's why they're willing to drop hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars on gear. Um, there's floor tower manufacturers that have seven figures or extremely high six figures in the price tag of a pair of floor towers. The love of music is still there. And to me, that was the real big takeaway of both of these shows is there is still a love affair for what we do. We just need to go out as manufacturers or as dealers or as enthusiasts and just tap into those people to be able to say, hey, we're still here. We're not what you think we are. Come have some fun. Come over to this side. We have great cookies. I'm going to end it on that. Join us for the next episode, which I'm not entirely sure what I want to talk about yet, but it'll probably be fun, or I don't know, maybe you won't like it. I don't care. Uh, Ground Zero at Ground Zero USA. Follow us on all the social medias. Subscribe on YouTube so you can keep watching this face every month. And we will see you on the next one. Have a good one.